2016, and I was attending the Aftershock panel, which you held today, and I did kind of say that it was the 1 year anniversary of Aftershock, because it had its kind of coming out party at ICE last year, and then you kind of threw this look at me as if to say, no, we've been running the birthday party's been and gone, but
Yeah, well, we started publishing in December, so last year it would have been a couple months before we published. I guess we started, yeah, you're right, our solicitations came out in September of last year, so yeah, I guess you can say it's our 1 year, or October, close enough.
So how's the baby done? Is it, I mean, I certainly feel that it kind of started running pretty much the moment it got out of the game.
Yeah, that was our whole intention, is like, not to slowly make an impression but just come out the door and just like, bam, here we are. No, you have to notice us now.
I mean, you made a statement of intent with the talent that you got involved from that first. But then again, you had that Rolodeck of all that experience.
Right, exactly. No, again, we're not Marvel DC where we don't have the library of characters to get your attention, so we have to have the library of creators. So first thing we started getting rolling is, I went out and grabbed some of my friends, Azarello and Paul Jenkins and Garth and Warren and some other guys like that, Warren Ellison. Because again, we wanted to just make an impression, and then also, not only just creatively, we went out and grabbed Mike Martz away from Marvel, because say, hey, like, let's just not make a big impression with our creators, let's make a big impression with our editorial staff too.
But I mean, okay then, so you're kind of attracting those names, but then again, in this kind of market where you are wanting to create a big impression, and you're wanting to create a new imprint, how on earth? What was the pitch like to actually say, okay, this is our statement of intent? I mean, was it easy enough to convince them?
Yeah, well again,
or was it more a case of off your own experience?
And a lot of the guys we grabbed at the start are people I've worked with on and off for 20 years, so I have had a long-term relationship with, so it's very easy to go to one of my friends and say, hey, here's, we're starting this new company, come do what you want to do, here's what our mission statement, here's how we're approaching this, and you want to be involved. And yeah, it was pretty easy actually.
Yeah.
So and then when Mike Martz came on board, shortly, he brought his Rolodex with him. So we grabbed Marguerite Bennett, who I give him full credit for, and the Dara Hines, and the Ray Fox and a few other people as well. And he brought, advantage he brought to the board that I didn't really have is his Rolodex of all these great artistic talents who were either up and coming or people he worked with at DC or Marvel. My Rolodex for artists are probably about 20 years old. Not saying those aren't good artists, and we've got a few really good ones, like Phil Hester, for instance, who's doing Warren Ellis's book, and also we're writing a project for us later on down the line. So I had those guys, but he had the fresher, newer talent, and so even with the crews I helped bring in, Mike was right there to say, how about this artist for this book? So we had a very good relationship and a very good compatibility as far as our capabilities of what to bring in and who we like and stuff like that.
Was it a case of because the writing talent is so strong, was it a case of the talent determining which artists they were going to work with? I mean, were they cherry picking?
No, we basically, looking back, I can't say there was an artist attached to a project that came to us. I might be wrong, but for instance, say I brought Brian Azarello in, and Mike goes, well, how about Juan Doe, like a person he's worked with before, it'd be great for this. And it was a match made in heaven. Or so I say with Garth, when we were doing Dreamy Eagles, Garth and I sit down and talked about different artist possibilities, and then we might approach one or two. It also depends on their availability as well, because we want to have the great artists, but the problem with a really popular good artist is that they're good and they're popular for a reason. That means they're working. So sometimes the first choice we might have had we couldn't get because plus exclusive deals at Marvel and DC. But I'm very, very happy with the people we did eventually choose. So I know Garth had a big hand in helping pick out the guy. It's funny, me and Garth both thought of Simon Colby the same day. I thought independently from him, and so when we got together and talked about it, he goes, I thought of that guy too. Let's contact him,
Excellent. When it comes to the reception of Aftershock, I think it's gone down incredibly well, purely off the back of the reaction of the books. But have there been any surprises for yourself in terms of any of the way that the books have been received? Are there any that you thought were going to be absolute surefire, Eisner Award-winning, Eisner-nominated books. Admittedly, straight out the gate is a bit optimistic, but or was there any that you felt that didn't quite get the shot that you felt that they?
Yeah, there are some books that didn't get the sales we thought they were good. Actually, I would say that when we first started, I was a little surprised at the resistance by retailers to order our first run of titles, even with the store power we had. I expected, be higher sales.
There's still that up to that.
It's
optimism.
Yeah, it's
not optimism. That's not the word.
It's
we're both coming up short now.
We both know what we're talking about. I think retailers have been burned too many times when new companies come out saying, "Here's what we promise," and then see what they deliver. So retailers are a little reluctant to trust a new company until they prove they can do what they say.
Yeah.
So, but I think I just use Animosity, which just came out last month, as an example. I think Animosity it's going to fourth print in the first month, so it's exceeded everything we thought it would do, and obviously what the retail thought it would do. It's just been a big hit, and I can see the result from that, where Alters came out this month, and their sales were great.
Well, let's talk about those two books, because while year one of, it can be just called as year one of Aftershock, it was such a strong year, and full credit to all the titles and the creatives involved in those titles. And it has felt like you've started off pretty much foot down from the moment you left the gate. But now it's just been cranked up to 11. In not only the terms of critical response to Animosity, but also the controversial elements of a book like Alters, which, as we were talking about in the panel, that's not so much a case of the book creating the controversy, more external forces creating that controversy. But it's still very much a case of Aftershock pushing over to up to 11. Was that kind of like determined by those books, or could these books have been released over the last 12 months, or is now the time?
No,
1 year into it?
I think it's just a coincidence when the timing, release-wise. These books were ready to go day one. We would have gone forward with these books day one because we both believe in the stories and the projects. It just so happens that they were pitched to us later. And like Paul Jenkins was doing Alters now, his first project was Replica. And we all loved Replica. That was a great book. And then the follow-up to that, well, here's this other book I want to do, Alters. And same thing with Marguerite. If she pitched Animosity to start, we would have jumped on it. Instead, no, she didn't, and she pitched Insects, which we jumped on. And but I think actually the timing for these books are better, and because now I think we've gotten that next bump up, that retailer are starting to trust us more, and fans as well, or getting to hear more about our titles and checking out our newer issues. So I think one thing we've done smartly is to slow down our releases for number ones, to try to only focus on one a month, as opposed to saying, like in April last year, we put out 3 new titles in number ones. We had $1.99 first issues for Rough Riders, Jackpot, and Black Eyed Kids, and that worked to an extent too. But that's 3 in 1 month. Looking back now, we didn't have a new release in May. We probably should push one of those back to May, but now it's like by allowing all our PR and our focus on Animosity in August, to see what effect that's done, and all our focus and PR on Alters in September, that's done same thing with Warren Ellis in October, with Alters, it debuted, announced in the New York Times. With Warren Ellis, it debuted and announced in the Washington Post. We're getting that penetration to that type of marketplace, and again, if somebody just focuses on one title, I see the sales results.
Sure.
So that's a smart thing to do.
Well, okay, let's talk about your own work for Aftershock. Then let's talk about Black Eyed Kids. Just how big a John Wyndham fan are you?
No, honestly, not really. I'm not even sure I know who that is.
Midwich Cuckoos, which I think you refer to as a Village of the Damned.
Oh, see, I've never even seen that. The only reason I have that I guess contents text is because somebody's brought it to my attention.
Oh, right, okay.
So
it was pure coincidence between the two.
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but I had never seen them before. The Black Eyed Kids, basically came to me because it's an urban legend. So if you Google it, I shouldn't give them, all the.
Give Google all the credit.
If you search online under Black Eyed Kids, you'll find pages of actual People who claim to have actually witnessed these black eyed kids or had experience with black eyed kids. They've been on, I know Ancient Aliens on the History Channel had a segment about it, which I hadn't seen, so I started writing the series either. Apparently, it's been to films, independent films about it as well. And I had never heard of the black eyed kids. It's been an urban legend for 20 odd years. So I was just on Facebook, perhaps scrolling through my homepage, and I saw something about 50 urban legends from 50 states. I said, oh, that's fascinating to me, so I'll check it out. And one state, it might have been Iowa, said black eyed kids. I'm like, what the hell is that? I never heard this before. So then I started looking it up. I said, this is so creepy. This is so spooky. I have to write a story about it. And so that's where it just basically came from. There's actually a book out called Black Eyed Children, a writer and author named David Weatherly. He's written a book about the real experiences, and he sent me a copy of that when my book came out, and so we've been chatting. I think I've asked David now. I said, "Would you want to put like a page or two in the back of the issues, and you can talk about real events, so people will start following the urban legend of it as well."
Well, a number of the books that you've released on Aftershock have had limited runs. They are self-contained stories. Is Black Eyed Kids one of those, or is it something that you do see as an evolving story?
I see it as evolving. I see it can run for years. It's on self-support.
Have you got that in mind? Have you got where the roadmap?
I have the roadmap. I have the roadmap, but there's a lot of rest stops along the way that get filled in that I'm not thinking about now.
Yeah.
But I know where it's going to end up, and I know kind of where I'm going with it. But even when I'm writing scripts or playing something, I like, for instance, for issue 7. I had an idea for mine for 7, and then I said, well, this is great. I got to write this note down. I have for issue 8. And then next thing I know, I've written the whole issue out. I went, let's put that in 7 because I like that better. And so I flipped the issues.
Yeah.
And even when I'm writing a scene, like recently I was writing a scene in 7, and I had in my mind this one scene with one page, and I had plotted out that way. And then next time I know I've written 3 pages because it took a turn as I was writing it. So to me, that's fun to me.
Yeah.
So I don't have everything. I do have an outline. I do here's my my beats, but also at the same time, as I'm writing it, they don't always do the same. Something else comes up, and it writes itself.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating and fun to me.
Was it a book that you had an idea for before Aftershock got formed?
Actually, it is. Yeah.
Or was it something that came after the?
No, it was before. It was probably a few years ago. I started writing down the ideas for it. And actually, I pitched it to a couple of companies with Michael Gatos, who's a co-creator, Jessica Jones and Alias. It was going to be attached to it. But the reality is that it got turned down a couple of places. But every time it got turned down, I look and go, well, why did this get turned down? And okay, I see, maybe I did that wrong. And so by the time we got to Aftershock, I was probably my 4th draft of it. And it's so much better than what the original one was. Because it actually was good that it got turned down here and here, because it made me relook at it and change stuff. And then, so what originally started at it is not where it is today. And so then Michael, his schedule kept changing. We could never work the schedule out for him. And so when Simon fell into my lap, which has been a perfect match for me, because I love his stuff, and he hits that mood that I want, and he's great to work with. And so again, at the end of the day, 3 years ago when I first started it was for this. Today it's that, and it's better today.
It's still,
So I'm not upset about getting turned down before, because now it's become a better project.
I think the concern I had when I saw the talent roster for Aftershock was it was so strong straight out the gate. At which point you then start talking and thinking about longevity and how the titles and how the company is going to maintain that kind of release strength. Where is Aftershock at the moment, and what's on the future? What's on the horizon?
We have some nice stuff coming up. Again, we did the Animosity Altars Shipwreck back to back. The November, December, and probably January. We're not releasing any new projects there. We're going to let these build up, and then February on through the summer, we got some really nice projects. They're not announced yet, so I really can't go into details yet. But
is it with talent that we've seen on the roster already, or are we talking new names?
One guy who did a limited series for us to start the company is coming back with another project. and then it would be a modern-based project. So we're excited about that one. You probably can guess who it is.
Yeah,
but,
I think, yeah.
And then there's a project in February I'm really excited about, where we actually bring a Superstore artist in on a project that we haven't had with us before. And it'd be his return to doing a monthly series. So I'm excited about that as well, and that get announced pretty quickly. And then there's two more very strong writers. One has two projects with us, and one has one, who we're also excited about bringing to the team for the first time. And then there's another really, I'm being very vague.
You're being very vague, but there's lots of vague. There's lots of stuff to be vague about. Like.
And there's another rising star who's had a couple of really strong hits in the independent marketplace, and now is will be doing major stuff at one of the big twos. Release a new book we're probably going to be putting out in April, and then come the summer, there's going to be a big major. Multi-major thing going on. And we're all meeting together in November about that, so I didn't get that planned out.
Cool. When you came, or when Mike came last year, he was very much encouraged by the reception that the titles were getting, but also by the talent that were coming up to him at the tables. Have you been able to bring any new talents from your portfolio reviews at conventions like this? Coming over to the UK, has it been worth it? And meeting the people that you know?
No, it's always worth it. I met a young lady today who I thought was a really talented inker. We haven't used a lot of inkers so far, but two of our next projects are using inkers, so I gave her my card and say keep in touch with me. Mike's been really good finding that new young artist and talent, and actually I'll give Mike credit for Marguerite for one thing. It was up and comer at the time. And for the next one we're bringing up, this is our two projects, two creators that Mike brought in who's rising stars, and he picked them out early, and he was right both times. I guess my forte is bringing in the established talent. Mine's 20, 25 years of relationships. I don't do a lot for personally. I'm doing it here.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful I'll find some, next.
Will you drag Marguerite to sit next to you and just like?
Yeah. Well, like even with the artist on Marguerite's book, Raphael De La Torre, he was artist on Super Zero, and he was pretty much unknown that got sent to us, and just saw his portfolio stuff. I was like, that's a good guy. Let's get him real quick. And we're very happy with Super Zero, and so when we're looking for artist animosity, Super Zero number 6 I just ended, and well, actually hadn't even ended yet. It's like we want Raphael to keep working, so he would be great for this.
Okay, I mean, my site obviously is very much concentrated on cons and con culture, so I'll wrap this up with a question about your presence at cons in terms of what you have done and what you're planning to do, because what we have seen from Aftershock is small booth appearances, table appearances. No panels as such at many conventions. Is that going to be something that you're going to be leading on to? Yeah. And can we see you at San Diego next year?
Well, it's funny. We've been at San Diego the last 2 years. We just haven't had a booth there. And that's really not necessarily because we didn't want to have one. But San Diego is like a 3-4 year waiting list. Yeah. So we couldn't come right in and get a booth right away. We do have a booth in New York Comic Con this year. We're not looking to spend a lot of money on gigantic booths that benefit you for a weekend. We rather invest that money into our creative talent and our project. So we'll probably stay with a smaller booth size because it just makes more sense financially. Because again, a weekend, I would want to spend 10 grand or 20 grand a weekend. I want to put that towards some cool books, So, but like in the New York Comic Con, we have Garth Ennis doing his only appearance at the show on Saturday, doing the signing for us. I believe we do have a panel in New York Comic Con.
Nice.
San Diego, we didn't get one in time. But no, smaller shows. I think our focus has been the more mid-range shows like Heroes Con, or I just did Baltimore Con last weekend, and that was by far the best reaction and show we've done financially and personally that we've done it at all, which was just phenomenal.
I think you'd have done very well at this con if you'd have brought some books with you, because that was something that was decidedly. Then again, I'm also a little bit disappointed in Mr. Martz, because he did say he was going to be bringing some T-shirts over, including one for myself.
I should have known. I mean, if I had known that, I would have brought you one, because I have all the T-shirts.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.